I'm Michael Beebe. I'm the CEO of Dstillery. Dstillery is a leading AI advertising targeting company based in New York. And I'm here to talk today about how Dstillery is bringing the tsunami of AI technologies that we're all experiencing into the advertising ecosystem to power what we call the predictive targeting wave of AI audience activation. So all of you here have lived through the overlapping waves of technology that have characterized the programmatic ecosystem over the last decade. It started with third-party data, where all sorts of new data, whether it was location data or transactional data, web behavioral data, was all brought together to power programmatic ad campaigns via reaching the right consumer at the right moment in time. That third-party data wave was kind of overtaken by the privacy wave that kicked off with GDPR, CPRA, CCPA, and all the changes that the browsers made. And under the threat of the loss of all that third-party data during the privacy wave, what we then experienced was the first-party data wave, where brands and their agencies were all investing in gathering as much first-party data as they could so that they would have signal to activate against when the privacy wave kind of overtook the availability of third-party data. And we think we're entering now the biggest wave that we've seen yet, which is what we call the predictive targeting wave, powered by the AI tsunami. And what we mean by that is that all of the AI that's generally available to consumers and enterprises now via LLMs and generative AI is much bigger than the advertising industry. But of course, you can apply it to digital advertising. And what it's unlocked is a new paradigm for predictive modeling. We are AI optimists at Dstillery. I attend a lot of these conferences, and I hear a lot of people apologize for talking about AI or count the number of AI mentions and maybe have a drinking game. Every time you hear AI, you're going to drink. You're going to be very drunk at most of these conferences. We are not apologetic about AI. We've been working with AI to power better outcomes for programmatic ad campaigns for the better part of a decade. This wave of technology that we're experiencing now is fundamentally changing expectations. It's different than every other wave that came before it. Every wave that came before it has layered on new capabilities, new layers of data, and increased the complexity of the ecosystem. What we think is happening now is that AI is unlocking more simplicity and integrating all that data into an easy-to-use, easy-to-understand, easy-to-activate approach to audience targeting. We call it a new foundation. And you can see here what's changed. Instead of data silos, we now have data that is all connected. Instead of static audiences, we have audiences that are more dynamic and update in near real time. Instead of single path activation, we have very flexible methods of activation. Instead of days of latency to create and activate an audience, we can do so now on demand nearly instantaneously. Instead of using close enough proxies for your audiences, we can power your campaigns with exactly the right audience that meets the definition of your ideal customer. And finally, instead of measuring campaigns with deterministic accuracy, did I meet the goal of reaching the exact people based on identity that the campaign set out to reach? We can now measure campaigns with predictive precision. Did I accurately predict which users were most likely to convert for a campaign and drive better outcomes? So we think that this wave is unlocking a new foundation for what you should expect from your programmatic ad campaigns. We call it AI audience activation, and we view Dstillery as our mission is to provide your advantage as marketeers and programmatic practitioners in bringing AI to bear in generating the best performance you can for your programmatic ad campaigns. This has 3 components. Predictive precision, like I said, that means you're reaching exactly the audience that is going to convert for your campaign. It means simplifying workflows. AI is helping to tame the very overwhelming, sometimes, complexity of the programmatic advertising ecosystem. It allows you to create and activate audiences in a fraction of the time it once took, and get them to the places where you need them to be in order to power your campaigns. And it's, as I said, unlocking superior outcomes by connecting all the available signals instead of relying on a single silo of signal to get really, really rich understanding of consumer behaviors to power your campaigns and identify intent. Our vision at Dstillery is to provide exactly the right audience for every campaign. We do this through a very flexible approach to modeling and a portfolio of products that meets the needs of every type of campaign. You can see some of those elements here, and I'll talk more about them in a couple of moments. But the way to think about it is that we can make custom audiences, or we can get off-the-shelf solutions, or we can do something in between with custom-built audiences. We can provide solutions that are activated as custom bidding algos, or as user segments, or as curated deals, or as contextual categories. And this is all powered by an underlying infrastructure that is hugely scaled and built for scale and speed. It's important to note here in Europe that we're able to do all of this targeting and modeling either with or without IDs. So we do have the ability to deliver very, very privacy-safe, but still highly precise audiences. One of the questions that we get regularly kind of reflects a different kind of cynicism. Not cynicism about AI, but cynicism about ad tech, which frankly, I share. I've been in the ad tech industry for 9 years, and I understand why people are skeptical of the claims that a lot of vendors make. And we recently started receiving reporting from one of the biggest platforms for audience data, one of the biggest marketplaces. In that reporting, which is objective, it's not our reporting, it's somebody else's reporting, Distillery's audience is consistently ranked in the top 5% of all the audiences in that marketplace, of over 1 million audiences, in terms of a measure called relevance, which is a measure of predictive precision. How likely is this audience to reach the intended target as defined by the seed for that campaign? For our most precise audiences, we're in the top 1%. This was kind of mind-blowing for us. I mean, we've always believed we were better, and now we have an objective, very liquid third-party marketplace that is giving us the measurement to really tell that story and show how we stack up versus our competitors. You know, the industry typically relies on case studies to define its relative performance. Now we're able to look at something that's much more macro. And what that means to us is that Dstillery is not just another audience data vendor. And it is not something that you should just maybe add to a campaign as an add-on. We're thinking about it as a way to think about a foundation for predictive performance. If you want to drive the best performance for your campaigns, you start with Dstillery as a foundation for every one of your campaigns, every time. That informs our vision of exactly the right audience for every campaign. Dstillery is built on a foundation of intellectual property, 25 patents. We've got many, many awards for our data science, AI, our privacy-safe methodology, which we call ID-free. We work with 85% of the Fortune 100. We work with all the big advertising agencies represented in this room, and many of the independents as well. We're available across the whole ad tech ecosystem. So how do we do it? Our approach to AI audience activation has two fundamental components that interact with one another. The first is what we call multimodal AI decisioning. That is the modeling engine that Dstillery has been building since its foundation in 2008. And the way to think about that is it's a predictive audience modeling engine that connects all the available signals that are available in this complex ecosystem of the ad tech world and provides supreme flexibility in terms of seeds and activation. The second element, which is brand new, which has only been really available to our clients since September of last year, is an agentic advertising platform. We call it DS1. It makes all of Dstillery available through one simple interface to build and activate audiences. And this is the thing that brings those workflow benefits that I was talking about. So multimodal AI decisioning, how does it work? The way to think about it is that you can start with any seed, whatever a brand deems important to identifying who their core client is or what action their campaign is meant to target, whether it's a search term or whether it's first-party data, or whether it's a pixel on the website where you can see who's converting, whether it is the output from a campaign in terms of successful conversions. It could be URLs if you don't have that level of data. It could be purchase intent or search behaviors. And whatever the seed is that you're starting with, we feed that into what we call our multimodal AI decisioning model. Right? This is the predictive targeting model that takes all of those different signals and brings them into one embedding space. So think about it including addressable web behaviors, non-addressable web behaviors, CTV, what are people watching, what shows, what networks, what genres, search terms, purchase intent behaviors. We take all of this data and we bring it together into what we call a single embedding space. And this is really employing similar technologies to LLMs. And what it allows you to do is connect the intent signals across all those different silos of data into one rich understanding of behaviors. And that allows you to predict with a higher level of precision than you can with any one mode of data what actions a consumer is likely to take. And of course, it can be activated across all the different activation modes that I talked about. Here are our case studies. The main point of this slide is that whether it's CTV or whether it's search or whether it is display, regardless of the KPI that you're looking at, whether it's ROAS or whether it's CPA or whether it's click-through rate, and across all different industries, from healthcare to retail to restaurants, this AI-powered decisioning unlocks better performance very consistently. Goes back to our top 5%. It also powers unprecedented performance for CTV campaigns. I believe today, CTV is still at a very primitive stage of using the tools that are available in the ad tech ecosystem. Much of CTV is still bought very much on the same metrics as linear, whether it's demographics or whether it's reach or GRPs, gross ratings points. And multimodality, that multimodal model, think about what that means for CTV. It means instead of just targeting people based on a demographic and which show they're watching, you're able to really understand search intent and purchase intent and bring those into your CTV decisioning. And what that unlocks as the CTV industry moves more towards outcomes and away from this sort of bulk approach to media buying, it unlocks better performance. We have a reference client that we like to refer to as, and I think they're represented here in the room, which is Keen's. And Keen's did a partnership with Dstillery that goes back many years based on the idea that our data unlocks better performance for their campaigns than any other data provider more consistently. And you can see the quote from my friend Dan Larkman here. And then the second element of our AI-powered audience activation is really our DS1 agentic advertising solution. And the way that you should think about this is that it allows you to access and control and iterate within that very complex multimodal modeling environment that I described in a way that unlocks efficiencies and effectiveness. It massively reduces the amount of time that it takes to identify, create, and activate exactly the right audience for your campaign, from days in many cases to minutes. And it also allows advertisers to, with plain English, through a chatbot that you can see on the right here that resembles very much an LLM, tell the modeling infrastructure exactly what you want. What is the, you can tune and refine and iterate and experiment with audiences without having to interact with a vendor over email or some other interface that slows everything down. And what that's resulted in is an unprecedented sort of simplification and acceleration of workflows in the very complex ad tech ecosystem. And so at Dstillery, we're big believers in AI. We believe that AI is going to fundamentally change, and already has for us, the way that audiences are activated through multimodal AI decisioning engine and through the ease of use that agentic AI brings to audience solutions and campaign setup. And our vision is to deliver exactly the right audience for every campaign to drive the best outcomes for your clients. I'm Michael Beebe. I'm the CEO of Dstillery, and I'm happy to take your questions. We're out of time. Thank you.